Hey, thanks for making it to Veterans Info Tap. I'm glad you made it. Let's talk about service dogs, our four-legged lifesavers, right? So many of you may have a service dog. Some of you may want to have a service dog. And I found an article here. I just want to share it with you. It highlights a little bit about service dogs and wanted to share it with you here today. Please hit the thumbs up, subscribe, share with a friend, all that good stuff. I truly appreciate it. The two asks to really look. Let the video run. That helps put this in the hands of those that need it. And hitting that thumbs up is another good way to let YouTube know that, you know what, this is something that others should know about as well. All right, so jumping into this article on USA Today, it just came out on June 9th here of 2024, and I wanted to share with you here today. All right, so four-legged lifesavers. Service dogs are working wonders for veterans with PTSD, study shows. So if you don't have a service dog and you have PTSD, and you've been thinking about it, this is just another way for you to hear about it and maybe take that step into obtaining a service dog. So, jumping into the article, before Anthony Serta began talking about his 3 deployments in Iraq as a United States Marine and military police officer, he gave a gentle command to his service dog. Mando, on his lap, the veteran said Mando, a black 2.5-year-old England Labrador, hoisted his massive paws onto Serta's legs. Then Serta lifted the dog all the way into his lap and began petting the dog, who remained still and quiet. It was obvious the effect the dog had on Serta, who recalled his experiences guarding convoys and protecting explosive ordnance disposal personnel as they worked. Emotional as he spoke of losing comrades, Serta remained calm and spoke softly in measured tones. While for years there has been anecdotal evidence of the benefits of an emotional support dog or dogs for veterans such as Serta, a new national study offers more definitive proof. Maggie O'Hare, one of the study's co-authors, and a researcher with the University of Arizona. For those that don't know, that's Stan, my rooster, in the background. I don't know if you heard him or not. He's probably going to get jealous because we're talking about dogs. All right. The University of Arizona College of Veterinary Medicine and her colleagues followed 156 veterans over 3 months. The study, funded in part by the National Institutes of Health and released June 4th, found veterans with dogs reported decreased severity of PTSD symptoms, anxiety, and depression, and higher social functioning as well. The dogs were provided by a nonprofit, Canines for Warriors. Okay, that's K9 with an S for Warriors. That's the nonprofit there, and I think I talked about them before, and I think the VA had actually brought them up. Good organization, K9 for Warriors. All right, quotation here. "We know veterans are struggling," O'Hare said. "They have much higher rates of depression, anxiety, and suicidal thoughts than the general population. Really rough coming home after combat in Iraq." Serta, who enlisted shortly after the terrorist attacks on September 11th, 2021, was just 19 years old when he was first deployed to Iraq in 2003. He was in Fallujah during the most intense fighting of the war. His final deployment ended in 2005. After seeing the human cost of war, from service members killed by improvised explosive devices, IEDs, to urban warfare and house-to-house cordon and knock operations, Serta found it difficult to adjust to civilian life. "It was really tough coming home," he said. "You have certain expectations. When you're in the Marines, you don't really talk about things." He struggled engaging in what he called reckless behavior and leaning on alcohol. "You mask a lot of the problems," Serta said, petting and squeezing Mando. "You get reckless. You feel invincible. You feel like, well, you didn't die in combat, but you also feel guilty that you didn't die, and other guys did." The 40-year-old who was worried about becoming a statistic is not alone. According to the 2023 report by the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs, suicide is the second leading cause of death among veterans under the age of 45. In 2021, 6,392 veterans died by suicide, an average of more than 17 lives lost per day. In 2007, CERTA followed the advice of a concerned family member and stopped drinking. It helped. He went back to school, earned a graduate degree in education, and began teaching. But a few years ago, he found himself struggling again. The then superintendent of the Matawan School District, Joseph J. Magica, I'm not sure, was himself a Marine Corps veteran and understood the struggles vets sometimes face. I didn't realize how far I was from spinning out of control, CERTA said, but my colleagues saw something in me wasn't right and came to me and said, "Let's get you some help." Mighty Oaks, a faith-based program for military veterans, helped CERTA get his life back as he reconnected with his Christian faith. He learned to forgive himself and to let go of the past mistakes. He still gives back through his church and charities such as Simplify and America's Fund and Dylan's Wings of Change. Canines for Warriors, which paired CERTA with Mando, is one of several nonprofits that help veterans obtain service dogs. It was founded in 2011 by a mom who saw her son struggle with PTSD when he returned from Iraq. But she also noticed he seemed more relaxed when he was with his dog. Most of the animals Canine for Warriors paired with veterans are rescue dogs, spokesperson Danny Bozzini said. "We say we are saving lives at both ends of the leash." I think that's a great saying with the rescue dogs. Rescued dogs have so much love to give. They're smart and cuddly, and we believe in a second chance for the veterans we serve and the dogs. Dogs are screened for temperament and their ability to obey commands and trained for 6 to 8 months. The dog's training includes 3 main cues. Look, which tells the dog in a military type of saying to watch my 6. So look, which is helpful for people wary of enclosed spaces or being unable to see all around themselves. I think that's a great one. On my lap, in which the dog acts as a comforting weight and calming presence. And front, which tells the dog to form a buffer between the veteran and others, mitigating hypervigilance they may feel in crowds. What a great article. All right. Veterans, too, go through a screening process. Bozzini said, once they're matched, veterans and dogs spend 3 weeks at one of 2 Canine for Warrior sites in Florida and Texas, bonding and learning to work together. There's no cost to vets. The expense of training the dogs around $70,000 for each dog. That's crazy. $70,000 in training for each dog, Bozzini said, and hosting veterans is supported by donors and philanthropy or type of organizations. Mando and CERTA have been together for a year, and CERTA said they're nearly inseparable. Mando accompanies him to work each day. The dog has his own school, that's cute, has his own ID card and his own school ID card, and he's hit with the students at the middle school where CERTA teaches and members of the church youth group CERTA leads. About the only time they're apart is when CERTA, an ultra-marathon runner, is on a long run. He helps me so much, and it's awesome that he brings such a positive element to whatever he's at, CERTA said. There's no crummy attitude around a dog. You know, he is the best. positive outcomes. Here is a little kind of subheadline. O'Hare said, using dogs to help people with physical challenges is nothing new, but having dogs ease mental health conditions such as PTSD and anxiety is a relatively recent innovation. That's part of the reason it hasn't really been studied in depth, she said, but research was needed. O'Hare said because funding sources, policymakers, and insurance companies all rely on evidence and data. The dogs might not work for everyone, she noted, but they're not the only intervention. Talk therapy, medications, and continued support also help people struggling with mental health, but dogs can be a part of the solution, the study shows. As I reflect on almost a decade that I have been studying veterans and service dogs, it's not uncommon for me to hear veterans tell me they wouldn't be alive if not for their dog, O'Hare said. Serta, who married and became a stepdad to 2 boys in 2022, said Mando is more than a pet. The dog, along with faith and family, helps sustain him. The way he looks at me, the way he nudges me, he said, his voice tailing off a bit. He needs me. God, whatever. I'm a little bit soft. He needs me as much as I need him. Super sweet, super touching. Hope you guys dropped off before I couldn't hold it anymore. So thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you. Have a great one. And remember, if we don't take care of each other, something went wrong.